Hey there, it's Patrick. Happy New Year's. These are my favorite bottles of the year that I picked up. They certainly got a lot of wears and they made a lot of memories alongside me. And I do hope this resonates with you. I hope you have some bottles out there that really stuck with you throughout the year and made your days more memorable, made your highs extra high and your lows, boosted a little bit, at least to give thanks to the fragrance that you have in your life, to at least appreciate the little things when you can here and there. I've only been in the frag community and fragrance in general for the past year, so I didn't realize how much of an impact it would make on my day to day, but I do really find myself having a boosted mood more often than not, simply just because of wearing a fragrance. So without further ado, let's get into them. All right, first off, we got Hawas Verde. This is just a nice, clean general pickup, similar to Torino 21. I did smell that a couple times, like at malls and such, and I think it does the DNA super well. You're gonna get an intense crisp green and citrus off the top, and really that lasts for a lot of the fragrance. It does get a little sweeter and muskier as it dries down, but really it's just, kind of a more energizing daily, if you will. I think it works perfect for a lot of age groups, a lot of occasions, so I really can't complain. I think it's just really a solid one to have in your collection. And it's a lot more affordable than some others on this list, or just a lot of fragrances in general, so you really can't go wrong. There's nothing wrong with getting cheaper fragrances. Clearly it's been proven many times, especially by Rasasi in the Hawas line. While I wouldn't say it's my favorite Hawas, I'd probably still go with Ice as my favorite. This is definitely the most notable one of the year, so I appreciate having this one with me. All right, next up I got the Reef line. I just discovered this company in general within the year, and yeah, I went a little crazy. They kind of have something for everybody, honestly. So I've got Obaiah 29 and Pure Musk, one of the newer releases. Price ranges are all over the place. I got most of these for like 40 to 60, maybe a little more on the Pure Musk because it's newer, but yeah, I really enjoy these. Really seems like they're putting a Middle Eastern twist on a lot of different categories of fragrance. A lot of them are honestly pretty good for daily drivers. Longevity is pretty good. I like the quality that they're bringing as well. I feel like the overall presentation is simplistic yet effective, and they're going for kind of like a modern luxury, but not making it feel like you have to be priced out of it per se. They're trying to, it almost seems like luxury is something they want to feel like an everyday thing for you. And I feel like that also occurs within the scent DNAs themselves. A lot of these feel elevated, but I would honestly wear them all day. Like Pure Musk is focusing on, of course, musk, but also osmanthus, which is, used in fragrances, but it's not a main focal point or a main note that's used commonly to build around. So I really like that you get this creamy muskiness, but also I've heard osmanthus being compared to the kind of nature of apricot, slightly leathery, and it works really well with a musk for sure. There's something else in there too, but it's super light, it's super nuanced, maybe something in the top notes, but again, that's pretty much the main focus. It's more of the mid to full dry down. Yeah, simplistic, but really effective in the way they execute things. Obaiah, probably, I don't know, 29 and Obaiah are kind of tied for the top of the Reef line. You've got a really natural pineapple with this really nice leather, not too deep, not too off-putting, but just the right amount of leather. I don't know how to describe it other than that leather accuracy is just so nice. And then Reef 29 is, it's Saffron, Iris, Amber is the note breakdown. So again, super simplistic, very much in line with like the whole brand identity, the everyday luxury thing. They're not trying to overload you with notes. But what I do really get is that nice Amber, Saffron, Iris combination in the opening. And then as it starts to dry down, you really do feel that almost designer inspired feel. Gets kind of that blue sensation with like Amber being more like Ambroxan. You get like the shower gel dry down essentially. So yeah, really well done. I can't wait to look into more of their stuff. Okay, on to Nishane. This is my first Nishane. Really cool to explore Turkish perfumery in general. So yeah, I've got Colognise by Nishane. Pretty solid, yeah. I love saffron. It really works in a lot of occasions and can be paired with so many other ingredients. So Colognise, I've worn it on so many different occasions, but I don't know, it's just very uplifting. It just feels like the saffron is enveloping you. I've heard people get a little passion fruit in the opening. That could be possible. I feel like a lot of really well-made fragrances blend together so nicely that it's hard to pick out notes. But really, yeah, I think it's just more about the feeling. It's just more about how it uplifts you or changes the mood, or even changes the way people perceive you when you're in the room with them. So perfumery is very interesting, has a lot of nuance. Yeah, it's complex. Maybe that's why we like it so much. Next, I have L'Homme Idéal Guerlain Extreme. Sorry, L'Homme Idéal Extreme from Guerlain. I think this was the first or second Guerlain that I had sampled. This one is especially, I can reminisce especially on this one because it's one of the first bottles that I bought within this year. And I had sampled it as one of the very first samples of any fragrance that I ever tried. And I held off on getting that bottle for a super long time. So super glad to have this. It does take that really iconic, I guess, the iconic captives or the iconic family of the Idéal line, and just adds more spice, plum, tobacco, and they did such a nice job with it. I feel like it is overlooked in its versatility. I think I would wear it in a lot more occasions than just simply like date night or nighttime. Honestly, it feels pretty sophisticated, and I'd rock it in so many occasions. All right, next up, Swiss Arabian's Opulence of Dubai. This is their Cities collection, kind of one of the more higher end collections. Again, another Middle Eastern brand that I feel like deserves a lot more attention, at least within the Western market in the United States. I had a really hard time picking which city edition I wanted to get first. I think it was going to be this one, Soul of Bali, or the Essence of Casablanca. But yeah, I just went with this one. Pretty well reviewed. Had a lot of interesting notes that I haven't explored as much as well. So again, I feel like even though it's kind of going for that opulence, maybe more dressed up, evening attire, evening outings, I would still wear this all the time, honestly. Super good. Lately, I haven't worn it as much, so I'm gonna put this on pretty soon. I might even put it on tonight, honestly. Yeah, no, I need to get on this more. Another insane brand, based out of New York, I believe, Amoroud, Silver Birch here. This is, I believe, this has to be probably the newest pickup on the list. Silver Birch kind of reminds me of a fig-based fragrance that Le Labo would maybe tune into. But this is just done a little differently. I've noticed with Amouroud fragrances, the opening, it can be kind of harsh or just a lot to smell within such a small amount of time. But the dry down comes within a few minutes. And yeah, no, these are amazing bottles. Retails like $210 plus. But you can find really good deals, or I often go for the used market, or like partial bottles market, and you'll get really good deals on these. Super unique, super friendly for any occasion. Once again, it seems like I gravitate towards a lot of fragrances that you can use in many occasions. That's just on accident, I guess, but yeah, this might be one of the top ones on the list, honestly. It's good. It's just so naturalistic smelling while still feeling, I don't know, comfortable, familiar, but still doing enough to, keep you engaged, keep you wanting more. Super good. All right, it's getting tricky. We're definitely in the top 3. I would say these are only the, top ones that I would categorize as really the cream of the crop. If I only had to pick 3 from the list that I made, these would be the 3. We've got Naxos first from Xerjoff. You really can't go wrong with this. This has been kind of hyped to death, honestly, like the past couple years. It's really interesting how long ago this came out, and it's interesting that perfumery can do that. I'm sure it released with an initial buzz, but then it just kind of didn't have the same popularity, same hype as it does now. But for me, really, Naxos, fragrance is just about what it does to you, or if you want to express it outwardly, externally, that's totally fine too. But at least for me, Naxos in a bottle really, I don't know, the honey note just feels like nostalgic to me. I don't really know what it would be in terms of the particular memory that comes to mind. I don't know. I am really fond of like different types of food and the culinary world in general. And I think I'm just at a point where wearing it is just such an, it's an incredible experience. You have this honey note that just feels so real. Yeah, honey as a note is not really doable. It's a fantasy note. So it's really interesting that they've attained such quality here. And I do really like the duality too. You get this honey and tobacco blossom, which on paper, that sounds really heavy, but some citrus, some lavender, you really have this nice nuance of dense base, but also uplifting top notes. And I don't know, it just works super well. Again, this is more versatile than I think people give it credit for. Yeah, I wear it a lot, honestly. I'm not afraid to put it on in situations you may not originally think of. Yep, and then the top two, really had to narrow it down. It's hard to not put an Amouage at number one. So we've got number 2, Gucci Intense Oud. I don't really have that many designers, and I guess a lot of people, when they talk about Gucci Intense Oud, they wouldn't necessarily even say it's, you know, it's technically a designer in the way that it's made by Gucci, but like the perfumery itself, the ingredients that they had used, I don't know. It just, yeah, it definitely feels niche. Again, I got it for a crazy price because the bottle was a little scratched. It was a tester as well. So, you know, sometimes you just find these crazy gems. I love oud, but I don't really have a oud that's done this smooth. So it really was such an eye-catching fragrance for me when... Eye-catching? Wait a minute. No, we use our noses. You know what I mean. But yeah, no, super memorable. I can envision myself wearing this so many years down the road, and I'm really curious to see like what memories continue to come up with this fragrance being the one that I wore that moment. You know, I feel like many gatherings, you know, just many celebrations, many enjoyable parts of life. So I'm really curious to see where those pop up in the near and distant future. Oh my gosh, crazy. As you can see, that was the only one that I picked up to smell. Enclave, man, I once again smelled this in the mall one time and never really thought that I would pick up an Amouage, especially this early within my journey. You know, I kind of felt like Amouage is a beautiful brand. It has beautiful heritage, and I love that it uses so many Omani ingredients. I think that's really a nice selling point and a nice justification for buying such an expensive brand, is that you are actually getting ingredients that are geographically locked to some location. So that was a big point as to why I really considered getting any Amouage to begin with. And once again, Enclave I found an amazing deal for. You know, I bought, this is there's probably like 40% left in this bottle. Someone was just happening to sell it, and I think I got it for like $90 maybe. And I was just, yeah, how could I pass up an Amouage for 90? You know, there are like samples of 10 ml that go for like $50 or more. So yeah, no, I'm pretty blessed to get that. Let's talk about the actual scent. I love, again, I think I love duality within fragrance and the contrast that it's creating for you. You know, you have the feeling of cooling and warming at the same time. And I really love how a fragrance can play into temperature sensation, or just sensation in general, because, you know, it's olfactive, right? It's scent, but yet it still connects to other parts of our nervous system and, you know, how we operate as people. And so I think it's so interesting that Amouage seems to tap into that. And Enclave is a great example, but I'm sure Amouage and many other niche brands really tap into this sensation a lot. This just happens to be my most memorable, most desired fragrance that I have that kind of evokes those practices and that sensation. But I'm sure it exists out there with a lot of different fragrances. Yeah, I'm really happy with the list here. I'm super thankful that I was able to attain these. I think being in the fragrance community is wonderful. There's no need to compare your collection to anybody else's. You know, we should all just be thankful for the fragrances that we have. I certainly could have done with less. You know, there's other pickups that I got within the year that maybe I didn't like as much, or yeah, they just weren't really my style, or maybe I felt pressured from, you know, other videos or other media, and sometimes that can get to you. But again, just, you know, enjoy your fragrance for what it is. Your collection is simply for you. You know, again, really ties to those memories that you make. And I think one of the biggest things in fragrance is, you know, don't compare. You have a lot of time within this hobby. You can enjoy this for many, many years to come. And fragrances are always coming out. You know, that's a debate that people talk about a lot. Too many fragrances are coming out per year now. We can talk about that in another video. But yeah, you know, just enjoy your journey. I'm here alongside all of you because I wanted to share my journey, and I want to hear from you. I want to see what you guys like. There's so many untapped avenues within this genre of, you know, hobby. It's kind of unique, you know, it's just another interesting way of expressing art. And I love different expressions of art, and I think this is just one of the more unique ones that really taps into your senses. And A lot of people talk about scents really, being tied to memory, even if it's not directly fragrance. You know, it could just be things you smell in the day to day. You start to really associate them with certain memories you have, and that's a really interesting way of, you know, remembering things. I don't think that's the first thing that comes to mind per se, but it seems like it's a very effective way of things being remembered in life. Anyway, Happy New Year's again. Thanks for tuning in. I had a really fun time putting this list together, and again, you know, feel free to share your lists, suggestions on fragrances that I could possibly get in the future. You know, looking at the table, I think my taste is pretty diverse. There's just so many fragrances to enjoy, and it's just fun to see how you as a person take them on and just experiment with them, you know. Awesome hobby. I'll see you guys in another one. Peace out.